I heard that this is an arson-related fire and that it actually broke out just south of the 405-133 interchange, and that is at least 15 miles to the north of us here. If that gives you any indication at all.
So you're saying that fire covered those 15 miles in, well, what time did it break out?
Boy, I think about 1 o'clock, but don't quote me on that.
Okay,
I don't know
well,
exactly.
Even if it was 1 o'clock, in a matter of 2 hours.
2 hours.
It's covered 15 miles and burned all these homes.
That's fast.
Yeah.
And I was told that they actually do
An idea of just where this is. We'll keep your picture in the upper right corner, and you can see where these flames are raging at this time. Emerald
Bay pool and pool house down there. Looks like the pool house is about to go.
Yes, yes. Bill, may I suggest that if you would give us a call back, say just a little bit later, with your perspective on what's going on in that area as this fire moves down that canyon. Would you do that for us?
Yes, I'm in Santa Barbara. I guess I can get through next time. It was a little hard getting through this time. Now we're looking at Emerald Bay, looking down at the working around to the right now is Irvine Cove, which has even newer and more expensive homes.
Oh, is that right?
Now this is still Emerald Bay here, to the right. Now you'll see a point way out there. That's Emerald Bay, but the next beach is Irvine Cove to the right.
Okay, why don't you stay on with us then for another few minutes here, Bill, and if you don't mind, tell us about this cove. Tell us about this area.
This is still Emerald Bay. We're looking southeast now at Emerald Bay, easterly now, and it's working westerly through Emerald Bay, down toward the bottom of the screen.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Emerald Bay. See the beach at Emerald Bay down there?
And then up toward the right would be Irvine Cove, is that right?
Yeah, there's my two homes in the lower left.
Yeah.
Now, over there's a point way up there at the water. That's Irvine Cove. See, there's a big black smoke coming up there. That must be a house down in Irvine Cove.
In Irvine, so you think it has gotten over into Irvine Cove?
It looks like it. If they could...
we could pan right a little bit. I saw some flames on the right.
If they could shoot out there, if they've got a telephoto on there, and close in on that.
I tell you what we are going to do, Mr. Stewart.
News helicopters, but I've been told now that they're going to try to bring in at least one, perhaps three bombers from the northern end of the fire to try and bring them down to here towards Pacific Coast Highway. Again, I wanted to try and pan over if we could while you were speaking to Bill on the phone. There is another portion of this fire we have not showed you that is just west of this. Huge flames just jumping outside of the canyon, and if that fire continues as fast as it is burning, it's going to go ahead and travel all the way down to Pacific Coast and go ahead and touch those folks living in the Irvine Cove area, which is what Bill was mentioning was just north of the Emerald Bay.
Is this a new burn, Jennifer, or is this one this is not one we saw before?
I'm sorry?
Is this a new burn?
No, this is the one that I'm trying to talk to you about. You're going to see a bomber in just a moment here, finally getting over these flames. They have been over the fire north of this. At least the fire line basically stretches over 10 miles, and they've been apparently working the northern end of the fire. And now this is what I wanted to show you moments ago. There's a huge ravine here where this fire is just leaping out of. I don't know if it's safe for us to get over to that area. I don't think we're going to be able to make it, but that is where the bomber is focusing on at this point.
It does look, Jennifer, it looks like a war zone all the way down that canyon, almost to the ocean.
Exactly. That's exactly it. We cannot tell exactly where the fire is going to hit next. We thought that this was just the focal point of the fire, but again, as we looked up, we saw these other flames just leaping over the hillside to the west of us. We'll see if maybe Martin can pan along the side and show you the incredible amount of smoke that's coming then, again, from the ravine.
That is massive. Part of it, though, does look like kind of white smoke, as though some fire retardant or some...
At least 10 to 15 miles north of where we are right now. That is where it began, and it has traveled at incredible speeds all the way down the coast.
What is burning there? Now, that is typical Firestorm
it sure is.
Type flames. Do we have any idea what's causing that?
I don't see any homes. Just the wind itself, I believe, is causing that.
It looks almost like it's being fueled by something.
I believe just by the combustion of the fire. There are no homes on that side of the hill just further south that we showed you a moment ago near PCH is where the homes are. That's just Firestorm at its best here, just ripping across the hillsides. Again, over 500 acres, and I'm sure that number has increased incredibly so in the last couple of minutes. I have not been told of a more accurate account, but I was told last 500 acres and approximately now, I would say, over 50 homes.
Now, it does appear to us as though that fire line has become much more extensive since the last time we spoke to you before we cut away to Stan at the Thousand Oaks fire.
Well, this is the portion
On top of the hill, can you tell, Jennifer?
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, go ahead, Jennifer. We hear you.
There are at least 2 or 3 homes, it looks like, at the top of that little mountain there, little hill. And then, of course, below you can see the tennis courts. And again, as I mentioned earlier, their fire crews have already positioned themselves on the surface streets below this portion of the fire that has jumped Pacific Coast. We'll see if we can get any closer to show you, but it looks like there's at least 2 homes on the top of this hill.
Jennifer, in the amount of time we were talking to the congressman, which was just a few seconds, we saw that fire jump the highway and go right to the crest of that little ridge. So evidently you are still experiencing some pretty high winds down there.
Exactly. Now we're going to try and turn around for you. Just south of us is even more fire coming along the ridge line of Laguna Canyon.
And there's the ocean.
I'm losing you for a minute here. I'm sorry. We're flying over the ocean now.
Right.
Again, I've seen one other bomber. I've been told that there are perhaps 3 to 4 working this fire just north of us. Again, this fire extends over 10 to 15 miles north of the Pacific Ocean up towards the 405. 133 is where it broke out hours ago. We've been told 500 acres. I wish we could get an update on that amount of acres that have burned. Well, I'm not quite sure. Maybe you know how.
You can see that this tremendous fire is burning in the Laguna Hills between Laguna Beach and Newport Beach, and it has come roaring down a canyon to Emerald Bay and to Irvine Cove. You can see the 405 and the 5 freeway.
Reporting for winds, you know.
That's
Oh, no, you can take off. You could probably fly over this or fly around it, but just don't get in the way and don't get near. You're probably restricted maybe to you must not fly below, say, 8,000 feet. It all depends what they decide to do for that restricted area.
I see. Okay.
We have just been told that Governor Wilson landed here in Los Angeles a little while ago, and probably within the next hour we'll start touring the fire areas and will undoubtedly make a proclamation of a disaster proclamation so that the appropriate financial aid can get to these people who are going to very desperately need it.
I think there's no doubt we have a disaster area that will be declared here.
Did Congressman Cox say that he had already been in touch with the people at FEMA and that they were responding, or that he hoped they would respond?
Yes, he said he hoped they would respond.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think their assistance is definitely needed here because we have a disaster of tremendous proportions stretching all the way from Ventura County almost to the Mexican border, I guess.
What's really frightening is that so many of these fires are attributed to arson.
What's also a great concern is we may not have seen the rest of it yet, although we desperately hope we have.
I am looking out at the hill again, which is just south of PCH, and I'm still seeing firemen on top of the roof there. They're continually hosing down the roofs of the homes just south of where this fire has leaped PCH, and it remains burning on the hill here. It's tough to say whether they were actually able to catch it on the other side of the hill. It is now burning on this side of the hill. Again, there are a couple of fire units on the surface streets below. I can't tell exactly if all the folks have evacuated the area. I see an older, I believe, a man standing near the car. I see another person bringing out some clothes to a car. So it seems like they're still in the process of evacuating this area, which is part of Crystal Cove, just south of PCH.
Could you tell, Jennifer, whether there were houses atop the little hill that we were discussing?
It looked as if there were 2 homes that possibly could have burnt down when this first caught fire. It looked as if there were two structures that I saw, but now it looks like as if there's nothing. So it's tough to say because there is so much smoke. It could have just been quite a bit of trees, a grouping of trees, but to me it looked like there were a couple of homes on top of this hill.
Okay, Jennifer, we are going to cut away from your coverage here just for a few moments. We will be getting back to Jennifer York and also to Stan Chambers, who is flying above the fire, I guess colloquially called the Thousand Oaks fire, but certainly is not in Thousand Oaks anymore. It has once again breached the ridge line and is coming down on the other side of the Malibu Mountains toward the Pacific Ocean. I do